All right, shooting from the prone position. The best case scenario is you have a prone supported position, which means you're either resting the front on bipods, or a lot of times if you're out hunting, you'll have a backpack or a jacket or something like that that you can rest the gun on, being careful not to rest the barrel on it, but just resting the stock on it. And when you have this position, it's going to be the most steady. But there's still a few other things you want to try to do to make you even more accurate. So I get down behind the gun, and I'm a right-handed shooter, so I'm just gonna talk like a right-handed shooter. If you're left-handed, then just reverse the image. But I want to keep my right leg kind of in line with the gun to absorb some recoil. Even though this is only a 5.56, very little recoil, there's still some. So I don't want to be turned way sideways, or like some guys have their legs super wide. I like to have my right leg kind of in line with the gun. My left leg is splayed out a little bit. But then what you can do is you bring that right knee up a little bit. You kind of cock it up a little bit, and that relieves some pressure on your chest. So your breathing and also your heartbeat doesn't make the gun jump as much. With my non-firing hand, there's no reason to touch the gun up here, all right? Because you have it supported on bipods or a backpack or something else. So what I do with my non-firing hand is I put that underneath the buttstock. And I can grab either the gun or better yet, grab your shirt with your fist, and then you can make micro adjustments by clenching your fist or relaxing it to move the buttstock up or down slightly. So once I aim at my target, and I've got a steel plate out there at 100 yards. I think it's an 8 or 10 inch plate. Okay, so when I get in position, cock that right leg up, left hand under the buttstock. Now I'm going to close my eyes, take a deep breath, and then open my eyes and see if I'm still on target. What we're doing here is we're establishing our natural point of aim. So now I see my crosshairs are off to the left and low a little bit. So instead of trying to move the gun, I'm going to move my body. I'm going to shift my hips a little bit to the left. That's going to bring the crosshairs to the right. And to raise it up, I can just pull back slightly. Conversely, if crosshairs were a little high, you can just push forward a little bit with your fingertips, and that will dip the muzzle down. So once you're back on target, I'm going to close my eyes again, take a breath, open them up, and I'm right back on target. Okay, for your breathing, you have kind of a natural pause, a natural rest between breaths. So I breathe about every 4 to 4.5 seconds on average. So I'm going to breathe in normally, and then when I exhale, there's a brief pause of about a second before you take another breath in. And that's when your body's the most relaxed. So I'm not touching this gun very much. I'm just pulling back with these 3 fingers, pulling back slightly into my shoulder, and then my left hand back here, just manipulating little micro movements as necessary. Take the weapon off safe, hold on target, and just slowly squeeze, hit. And you notice I didn't slap the trigger and take my finger off right away. It's okay to hold it for a second or 2 even, and then reset. All right, so we got 2 hits there. Okay, so if you don't have bipods or some other support, now you're going to have to use what's called prone unsupported. And you can use your sling to assist a little bit, wrapping your arm in there and locking that in. And here we want to use, again, as little muscle as possible. I'm not going to extend my arm way out and relying on a lot of bicep strength. I want my arm in closer, so I'm using the bone to support the gun more than the muscle. and I can still get this pretty solid. And again, you can do your natural point of aim here. Okay, so another thing you can do if you have one of these modern sporting rifles with the long 30-round magazine, regardless of what your grandpa or your drill instructor said, you can rest the magazine right on the ground. And the reason that you may have heard not to do that is because in some shooting competitions, they tell you not to do that. And the reason is because it gives you an unfair advantage, because it's more steady on the ground than it is holding it up off the ground. It's not going to make the gun malfunction or anything like that. So there are some potential problems with resting one of these modern sporting rifles, resting the magazine on the ground, in that it's kind of a central pivot point. So the gun is it's going to have more play up front. And also, if you're on hard ground or especially on concrete or something, it's really going to jump a lot when you fire. But it is a pretty steady position if you practice a little bit. And again, back here, because I have so much movement up front, now I'm not going to rest, put my non-firing hand back here. I'm actually going to stabilize the gun from moving left and right up here. I still have my right leg cocked up a little bit. That relieves pressure off my chest. Is my brass hitting the camera? I think maybe it is. I'm going to break my phone. All right, so that's our prone supported and prone non-supported.